Good morning and welcome to Peace Out, where I have already been practicing this morning. Piecing out, that is. That's what I've been practicing, right? Yeah, I already started taking all of those complaints and thoughts and concerns and anxieties and more anxieties and then the extra anxieties and the anxieties that the anxieties caused. I've been taking those to him already this morning, right? So it's a wonderful thing to do, right? Matter of fact, that's where I got our scripture of the day. But anyway, I want to say real quick, the book of the week is Psalm 30, 31 days in Psalm 31. It's just 31 devotions with questions each day. You read the verses out of Psalm 31, and then it has a devotion, and then 3 questions that make it, that when you answer them, it makes it more applicable. I think that's one of the most important things about our Bible study time and our prayer time and our teaching time and all that, is making it applicable. If I read it but I can't apply it to my life, even talking about piecing out, there's got to be a level of application. If we can't apply that, right? And it can be frustrating because we know to piece out, we know how to piece out, we know we got to let his peace reign, but then we still got all this stuff that keeps coming at us. That doesn't seem fair, does it? And so it's not like just a one-time, one and done deal, right? Like a marathon. I did one marathon, did lots of half marathons. One and done, one marathon, that was it, right? But I did do one, right? But it's not just a button we push and then we just have it all figured out. It's a coming back to him over and over again with our concerns, with our questions, with our pains, because life is a series of stuff, right? There's so many different things on each of our plates. And my plate's piled pretty high right now. As a matter of fact, this morning, as I was praying about those things, I was like, man, I just got this, I've got that, I don't know what to do about this, what do I do? And I turned those thoughts and those concerns into prayers, and God, I don't know what to do about this, and please give me some direction here. And I need wisdom. And then when I said that, when I prayed that, because remember, it's just actually on the same page we're going to be from today in Proverbs 2:6 and in James 1. Both of those tell us that when we need wisdom, we just ask God and he gives us wisdom, right? That's amazing. And so I was praying for wisdom. I was asking him, I need wisdom. I don't know what to do, how to manage this. I don't know what to do with that. I made a mess of this. How do you please help me fix it? Please help me clean it up, right? And so we've got all these different things going on in our lives that we can bring to him. And I want to throw out there real quick that nothing's off limits to God. He never says it's not important to him. He never says, oh, that's too big for me to handle or too little for me to handle, or it's never in between. He never says, well, you just go ahead and do that. I don't need to be involved. No, he takes it all. I just love that about God, that nothing is too small for his attention, for his ear, and for his heart. And nothing is too big. He doesn't say, oh, I don't know either. I'm out, right? And so I love that about him. So I was bringing all these different concerns, and some of the health, maybe some was money, some was relationships, some was Chris, who's having an asthma attack or something, even as we speak. Something's going on. It's not major at this point, but it's watchable, right? But I was bringing all of that to him and then asking him, help me know what to do for this, to do for that, which clients do I keep. God will take it all. So I was praying all that. I was like, I need wisdom, God. And so then I thought, what? I'm going to read Proverbs this morning because Proverbs is just packed full of wisdom. But I didn't get past verse 6 of chapter 1, right? Because verse 6 of chapter 1 in my handy, or is it, hold on, is that 6? That's a verse 7. I'm sorry, my bad. Okay. It says this, fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Only fools despise wisdom and discipline. So seeking wisdom is already a sign that you're smart, right? Just the fact that you're wanting wisdom, the fact that you're going, God, I want to know how to handle these things in a righteous manner, in a godly manner, in a right way, even if I've already made a mess out of stuff. Asking God for wisdom is already a good start. Just asking is the best place to start, right? But I want to start with this first part. He says, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Just acknowledging that God is there. And when I say fear of the Lord, I did a whole little study guide on it. I think it's available only on Kindle at this point. But I did a whole little study guide on the fear of the Lord because it's not standing over here thinking, when is God going to strike me by lightning? Or when is God going to fry me down to my toenails? Or, if we look at the story of Nineveh, even them, Jonah was expecting God to wipe them out, and God had mercy and grace. So the fear of the Lord was in Nineveh, in that they repented and came back to God. That was the fear of God. It wasn't a fear of he's waiting for us to mess up so he can wipe us off the face of the earth. A fear of the Lord is a reverence of him, knowing that he's God is the beginning of knowing him, of that reverencing him, knowing and acknowledging him as God. And so that's the very beginning of knowledge. So without that fear of God, without that reverence of God, we're just not very smart until we start looking for wisdom. And when we look for wisdom, we're not going to look very far until we realize God has wisdom. He is wisdom. And I started thinking about a couple of stories in the Bible, but I'm only going to share one. And I was like, God's wisdom is so much higher than ours, because he says, as a matter of fact, there's a scripture in, I believe it's in Jeremiah, that he says he declares, or maybe Isaiah, he declares the end in the beginning. And I was like, that scripture can be real confusing. He declares the end in the beginning. He already declared that Jesus was going to go to the cross before he said, let there be light. Before Jesus was slain before the foundation of the world. Made a way for us to get back to him. I say that a lot, right? Before he ever said, let there be light. So he already fixed the problem before there was one. He's ahead of the game. And I thought of Samson. I thought, what a mess up Samson was. Now, he's one of our Bible heroes, right? He ended up being a judge, and it's in Judges around, Gideon is in 13, I believe. I believe it's in 13. So, and he was just a mess up. God said, I'm going to deliver, I'm going to wipe out the Philistines with you. It's going to be a great slaughter, right? But he kept messing up. He told his riddle, he told his secret, he fell for Delilah's deception, and it's just a sign that he's human. Like us, we mess up too, right? And he just kept messing up. And then they gouged out his eyes when they finally took him. And you have to just go read the whole story, because there's a whole lot more to the story, right? And it had to have seemed like to him there was no way God could do what he said. Have you ever been in that position? I know God said we have peace, but it sure doesn't look like it right now. And it certainly doesn't feel like it right now. Or maybe I've shared the story of the vision of me going around the world, and when Chris had his wreck, I was like, well, I guess God didn't mean it, right? But God knew the end in the beginning, right? And he kind of skips through all the middle stuff. And he goes, here's what we're going to do. Here's what I'm going to accomplish with Samson. And Samson messed up. He fell for Delilah's tricks. He let him cut his hair. He just didn't do it right. He chased the wrong women anyway. And he just messed it all up. And surely he thought, as he sat there in that prison cell with his eyes gouged out, and it was dark no matter what time of day it was, surely the darkness of his soul was greater than the darkness and the loss of his sight. And he had to have wondered, and we don't have this in Scripture. I am just guessing, because Samson was human. He must have sat in that prison cell thinking, God was going to use me, and now I'm useless. You ever felt that? Man, do I feel that way a lot. Right? Maybe because I'm a mess up, and maybe he was thinking, I just messed it all up. And yet, in the very end of his life, the hair had grown back. And he asked the young man who led him out on the stage, because he had become a spectacle, an object of scorn, they were mocking him and making fun of him. And sure, God's going to use you. Sure, here's the greatest man on earth. Here's the strongest man on earth. Look at him now. He was still the strongest man on earth at that point. And God still accomplished what he promised, even though Samson, and here's my point. God's wisdom was a lot bigger than Samson's mistakes. God's wisdom and foresight and foreknowledge was clearer and stronger than Samson's intentions, than any mess up Samson could have done, and the things maybe we don't even know about in between, right? Because God still did what he said he was going to do with Samson. I find that's God's wisdom. And so we have to go to him for wisdom, because he's got the end of the story. We got to work through the middle parts, right? But he's not going to take anything back. Jesus is not going to come back and go, I want my peace back. Y'all are all misusing it. You don't know how to apply it. You don't even know what you're doing here. Just give it back and let's just start over. He's not going to come take it, because in his wisdom, he knows that our process comes into play. Our process of coming back to him every single day with the same problem. He's like, it's okay. You've still got peace. I still gave you peace. I'm still going to give you wisdom. It's going to work out just like he said, because he has wisdom. He is wisdom. That's why when we go to him, he gives us wisdom. It's up to us to apply it, just like peace. But no matter how bad it gets, whether it is something brought on by something totally outside your decisions, your world, and your whatever, your what intentions or whatever you want to fill in the blank there, or it's something you do yourself, the beginning of knowledge, the beginning of being smart, the beginning of wisdom is just seeking God. That's where it all starts to come together. You can't be you're not going to mess up as big as Samson, right? And yet God can still bring peace in your life. He still loves us. He still knows the end. All we have to do is turn to him, and that's the beginning of knowledge. The beginning of wisdom is just seeking God first, no matter where you are. He's got you covered. Peace out, you guys. Have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow.